Agent Morris with the NSA.
We have identified some very, very interesting anomalous type of aircraft.
The traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion. Over.
Move very rapidly at any speed or whether any direction it wanted to go. Why it could change and go to the right or the left or go crossways without hesitating a bit.
What do you think it was?
Well, if they call it a flying saucer, that's what it is.
EWA 517, do you want to report a UFO? Over. Negative. We don't want to report.
Look, it wasn't my worst Wednesday night.
Good evening, everybody. This is Smiles Lewis, and you are tuned in to another live edition of Anomaly-NOW, live from Austin, Texas. This is the weekly news roundup show of the 501c3 nonprofit Scientific Anomaly Institute, aka the Anomaly Archives. I'm your host, Smiles Lewis, and so this show might end up being a little short because of a number of different reasons. It's been a crazy day weather-wise here in Austin. We hit a heat index of, I believe, 117 degrees, and there is some intense weather heading our way. I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing dark skies, occasional flashes, and it's getting darker, and I hear and feel the thunder approaching. Yeah, heat index of 113, 117, something like that. Didn't break the high temp for the physical temp for the day, which was, I believe, 106 in 1936. But yeah, highest feeling of heat today, and I can attest. A couple of times I went outside in the worst of the day. It was insane, absolutely insane. And I'm not used to, but I've experienced intense summers here in Austin, Texas, all my life. So I'm no stranger to heat. But oh my gosh. Anyway, so we may or may not call it early tonight, so we'll see. But thank you for joining us. Again, we are a 501c3 organization. You can find out more about us if you're not familiar at anomalyarchives.org, and there you can find links to sign up for our weekly, our infrequent email newsletter, which is also posted to the website. So you can also just go to the website and look at past issues of the magazine, as well as past installments of this vodcast, the recordings of that, and so much more. Links to our YouTube channel where we have this stream and so many other past audio and video recordings. So you can also find a link to our Flipboard where we aggregate all the amazing news that we're coming across at any given time. Post them there so that I can go back and read them later, because I can't always read them. Got a day job, and I'm taking a break, and I'm going, "Ooh, that looks good. I got to read that later." And there's just so much. Just today, I saw this article about a Bigfoot museum and this new Mayan city discovered in the Mexican jungle. Also, I started listening to this audio podcast interview with Leslie Kane over at the New York Times in their opinion piece area. What the heck is going on with these UFO stories? Indeed, there is so much great news over there. Of course, one of the biggest things that has hit, of course, is this this story of is there a Canadian crash UFO UAP recovery program? Well, John Greenwald over at the Black Vault, of course, has gotten these same documents that have recently come out. And he had our good friend Canadian Chris Rutkowski come on to comment about these documents, which, as were indicated, were from a politician claiming that yes, there are these Canadian version of these crash retrieval programs, and hey, we need to coordinate with the United States if they're about to disclose these things. And Chris Rutkowski, being a very level-headed fellow, pretty much puts this in perspective and says, oh, I hope that there's something more to this, but it's probably just this politician who has a long known history of an interest in this subject getting in on the action, perhaps, and repeating the stories long relayed of Wilbert Smith, the Canadian who made many claims of insider status in the UFO programs of the Canadian government. So that will be interesting to watch. But as usual, again, there's a ton of other stuff over there. Here's the link to that. Bombshell letter confirming UAP reverse engineering programs, ? Chris Rutkowski weighs in. And so there's so many great articles over here. There were several I wanted to hone in on. Several octopus stories that I'll get into in just a second, but there's a nice link to a history of artificial intelligence research here in Austin, Texas. And this great Ingo Swann documentary. It's a mini documentary. It's about 20 minutes long, done by Jeffrey Mishlove, who, of course, I often have referred to. I think he's a great researcher into the paranormal, particularly parapsychology, but really from a really broad perspective on everything. So let's just jump into there's tons of these octopus stories. Now this one's from back in May. Octopuses and squid are masters of RNA editing while leaving DNA intact. These changes could explain the intelligence and flexibility of shellless cephalopods. This is over at sciencenews.org by Tina Hesman Saey. Like I say, back in May. This is a pretty deep article for me. I'm not that conversant in genetics, but I do know that most animals do not seem to be able to affect their DNA or RNA, and this goes into some detail linking to the actual scientific research on this, which honestly is kind of bizarre when was it towards the bottom here? Yeah. Let me see if I can find. No, is it not that? Oh, it's not this article. Oh, right. Well, anyway, RNA editing isn't limited to creatures of the deep. Almost every multicellular organism has one or more RNA editing enzymes, says Joshua Rosenthal, a molecular neurobiologist at the Marine Biological Laboratory. But of course, this article leads off with the recently oft-repeated many writers grouse when an editor makes a change in the story, but the consequences of changing a single word actually aren't that dire. Octopuses are like aliens living among us. They do a lot of things differently from land animals or even other sea creatures. And this, like I say, has links to the article, the science on this. And then meanwhile, over at, what's this? BGR.com. I forget what that stands for. Octopuses are building underwater cities in the ocean near Australia. This is from just a few days ago. Joshua Hawkins over at BGR.com, who has written on octopuses before. I don't know if y'all could hear that. The sky is turning green outside. That is never a good sign. It's very cool to look at. Very worrisome. So, like I said, probably wrapping this up pretty quick. Now, this says with this new discovery, it links here. I believe that link actually goes to this older article from 2017. New evidence suggests that octopuses aren't loners. Every time I look at this, I see losers. New evidence suggests that octopuses aren't losers. No, they aren't. They're badass. They are really freaking cool. But this article was, like I say, from September 2017 and goes into some research into these. They're not even colonies or cities, but they are groupings of these octopus on the sea floor within closer proximity than had, I guess, ever been detected before, and indicating that, wow, so they are social. They aren't just loners. Again, this is from 2017 over at UIC Today. I'm not sure again what UIC stands for, but it's probably a college. And flashing back to another article from May that probably caught your attention, octopuses may have nightmares. Study of single cephalopods suggests the animals have narrative dreams. There was a video making the round, I think, oh yes, Costello. The octopus named Costello was recorded in its tank sleeping and suddenly waking up and acting as if it was in terror, even I think dumping its ink and changing colors as they do. There was several articles about this that were making the rounds. This one from over at science.org. Meanwhile, if you look into dreams of octopi, you'll find from NPR, but back in March of 2021, sleeping octopuses may have dreams, but they're probably brief. Is this perhaps the one? Nope. Okay. I don't know where I'm thinking of. One of these articles somewhere has a researcher named Bizarro. I swear to God. This back in 2021, octopuses have alternating periods of quiet and active sleep that make their rest similar to that of mammals, despite being separated by more than 500 million years of evolution. During their active periods of sleep, octopuses' skin color changes and their bodies twitch, according to a report in the journal iScience, and they might even have short dreams. Quote, if they are dreaming for up to a minute, says Siddhartha Ribeiro, a neuroscientist at the Brain Institute at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Norte in Brazil. It's been clear for a while that octopuses can change color as they sleep. Videos of this have gone viral. Previously, other groups had suggested that cuttlefish have an active sleep state similar to the rapid eye movement, REM sleep seen in birds, mammals, and other reptiles. And there is more over at npr.org. So yeah, jumping back to the Flipboard, there's so many other articles that we can look at, including what to do if you see a Chupacabra in Texas this summer, reported by local news outlet kxan.com. But it's actually, I think it's the local parks people or somebody like that are trying to encourage folks to think critically and beware of coyotes with mange. Yes, indeed, kxan.com with this, what to do if you see a Chupacabra in Texas this summer. And of course, that should be Chupacabras S, because there's always an S on the word. Otherwise, it's misspelled. That photo is Phyllis Canyon holds the head of what she is calling a Chupacabra at her home in Cuero, Texas, on a Friday, August 2007 file photo. Do you believe Chupacabras exist? You're not alone, at least not in Texas. Chupacabra, sometimes referred to as the Chupacabra, is one of the American Southwest's most famous cryptids. So this article actually goes into a lot about cryptids and talks about the folklore, gives a little bit of a history timeline here. In 2017, Texas A&M University's AgriLife Extension published extensive research on the subject, as well as its most likely explanation for the sightings of the creature. But what's really cool is it goes into a little history of cryptids around the United States, talking about the popularization of different, lake monsters and that sort of thing. And it's a nice thing to see. And of course, talking about the other aspects of cryptozoology, cryptids that aren't necessarily the more fantastical ones, which I appreciate. Just goes a long way to, I think, help educate the public about the idea that this isn't just a crank science, so to speak. So, yay. What other stuff? Oh, right. How a dose of MDMA transformed a white supremacist. Well, I am long been an advocate of psychedelics. I think that they can do a lot for people's psychology and mental state. They've been used for all sorts of addiction, elimination processes, programs, and so many other things. There's those octopus articles, extinct hippo-like creature discovered hidden in museum, sheer chance, from Newsweek.com. Guidance for Grief, Wisdom to Help You Stay Connected to Your Loved Ones After Loss. Julie Bischel, Dr. Bischel, I'm probably mispronouncing your name. Sorry, Julie. Actually, oops, can it show it? There it is. Got it. It's pretty awesome. Looking forward to utilizing that. As always, lots of great stuff here. There is an audio excerpt read by the author himself, Mike Cleland, from his new fiction book, The Unseen. You can go to his Hidden Experience blog and take a listen to that. There's also these great videos here. Adam Gorightly talking about this latest Dave Grosh whistleblower news story campaign and talking about it in the context of his wonderful book, Saucers, Spooks, and Kooks. This is a video interview between him and Daily Grail founder and Miguel Romero. So that's really worth watching. There's this 12-minute, I guess, another mini documentary, The Man from Venus, the George Adamski story, Mysteries and Monsters. This is from Small Town Monsters, SMT. Love the stuff they do. On a parapolitical note, this fantastic 12-hour compilation of interviews and other material related to the Waco tragedy from so many years ago. This is by my friend Scott Horton, the Libertarian Institute and anti-war editor, and just staunch rational thinker when it comes to international foreign policy, as far as I'm concerned, but not promoting that as a political endeavor. But in this case, he's collected his interviews and information related to the horrors of the Waco tragedy that recently had an anniversary. So what else we got? I mentioned, there's this Ingo Swann documentary that I mentioned, and the Daily Grail has an article by Red Pill Junkie Miguel Romero and the link to that very mini documentary. You can go check that out. Some of the other articles you probably saw me going past in the feed there at Flipboard. This one, wow. From jpost.com, the Jerusalem Post, pumping groundwater has caused the Earth's rotation to shift. The distribution of water on the planet affects how mass is distributed. Like tiny bit of weight to a spinning top, the Earth spins a little differently as water moves around. And wow, okay, this is talking about pole shifts, but in various other ways having to do with human effects on the planet, including its rotation. There's some paper behind this. I'm sure there's a lot more to be said about that. Meanwhile, over at thehill.com, new theory of Earth's rapid creation makes alien life more likely. That video has nothing to do with this article, but this links to another article. Is this the one with Bizarro? Yes, here we go. With this new planet formation mechanism, the chance of having habitable planets in the galaxy is much higher than we previously thought, said co-author Martin Bizarro of Denmark's Globe Institute. Sorry, Martin. Love your last name. And this just has to do, again, with water and how our planet became habitable for life. And it's a different, apparently radical look at how planets form much more quickly than previously thought. Honestly, it seems as likely as the previous hypothesis. So it doesn't seem that out of the ordinary to me, but hey, glad there's some acknowledgement of it. That links, of course, over to nature.com, where you can read the actual article, Silicon Isotope Constraints on Terrestrial Planet Accretion. And there is Martin Bizarro's name, amongst many others, Martin Schiller, Isaac Onye, et cetera, et cetera. And love it when people help preserve UFO-related history. And this person over at American Arch Villain at substack.com is been scanning these old issues of contactee William Pelly. Not going to go into that guy's history, but suffice to say, it's very interesting. But they used to publish this Valor, the Golden Times Weekly, a flying saucer theory of life. And there's scans there, as well as this other link where there are more scans that you can check out. Again, love the archiving and preservation work happening at places like that. So Again, you can go to anomalyarchives.org. I have got to go move the car into the garage because it's looking bad out there. All right, folks, this has been Smiles Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week. Let's do this.